Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Bill.
Man, you're super quiet today.
I am. I've got quiet energy this morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just thought it was your mic, but okay.
Now my mic is like right there.
Yeah, mine's
So it's
right here.
yeah,
Right here.
right here.
Yeah, it's weird. It's right here.
It's
Just the tip. That's
It's
all I see. Is just the tip.
it's hiding.
It is hiding.
Hey, Mike.
Good morning, Mike. How was your week, man? Mike, how was it? Was it good? Scale of 1 to 10. 1 being not deliberate or intentional, and 10 being very deliberate. You got a lot done, very productive, and you're going to feel amazing at putting it down at the end of the day today.
I want to know your answer to that while Mike's doing that.
Oh man, not a good week for me.
Okay.
Not a strong week.
A 1 or a 3?
Or
4 or 5?
That depends a little bit on the lens. If I'm being really
Your
honest.
lens.
My lens. Relationship wise, about a 4. I got into it with one of my partners in the real estate thing yesterday.
Okay.
Which is always interesting.
Yeah.
Impact wise, right, for the business, good, right? Built out a CRM and got paid for it and all that stuff. So that's good, so keep pushing that thing forward. I have lots of irons in the fire, and so I'm feeling a little bit stretched, right? So trying to get everybody in there. Mike ended at a 7. Mike,
Nice.
all right. So I got to tell you my pet peeve. Everybody picks 7. So if you can pick 7, Mike, do you pick 8 or do you pick 6? What?
And how come I'd have a 7? Come on.
Everybody picks a 7. I did this one. I did this once too, in like a group of people, because one of my coaches was like, "How's your week going? Scale of 1 to 10," and everyone picked 7. I was like, "Let's try it again," and you can't pick 7.
Yeah, no, I get it.
It changes everything, right? Like it's kind of hard to say, "Man, it was an 8," and 6 feels like failing. Thank you, school system. So I'd lean toward 8. All right, Mike. Man, that's awesome. That's what I would love to hear from everybody. Yeah. I'm not at an 8 at all. Not even close.
Yeah, it's true. I can tell. She's just like, yeah. Well, it's Friday, so that means we've got another week coming. So that's good.
Yeah, it means we get to talk about this a lot today. Where's a 15-minute morning bill whenever I need one?
I know. I keep telling you we should have more guests. And we wouldn't have
Hey, Mike, do you want to come on the show?
Right. Come on, Mike. Let's talk about your 8. Your leading an 8.
Yeah.
We've never had Mike on the show. We could.
We've not ever had Mike on the show. We should.
I know very little about Mike, so that would be an interrogation, possibly.
Isn't it always with us?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what you agree to.
Yeah.
Unknowingly, probably.
Good morning, Levi. Good morning, sir.
Hello, Levi. Levi, if you could say in your week 1 to a 10, 1 not deliberate, not intentional, 10 deliberate, intentional, 7's a horrible number. Don't pick that. What would you pick? 1 to 10, what would you pick your week as? I'm an 8. I'm with Mike. I had an 8 this week. I had a really
price of admission.
I had a very deliberate week, so I'm feeling good about mine. Levi, what was yours? 1 to 10, and then
I think Levi got a deal closed.
Oh yeah,
and I think I have some interesting changes to their sales process based upon that, and I'm excited to kind of dig into that with them next week. So
that's fun. I love that.
Yeah. I had an idea in Alice built this little like mock fortune telling seance thing here in the office yesterday, and she's like, do you want to get your fortune read? And I was like, well, I just want to come sit in the room, because like the lights were off and she had her little incense thing and for some fog. It was like a nice thing. So like I come in and I was just gonna like sit and just like enjoy the quiet. And she goes, So ask me a question. I was like, okay, right. And so then I just like asked her some questions, and then we just started hanging out in the room, and then we actually is when I had this idea for Levi and Jordan and James, and so then I role played it with Alice like here and there. I was like, hey, I'm just going to ask you some questions, and she's like, how do I answer them? And I was like, honestly. She was like, okay, that's fine. So yeah, so that was fun. That's probably the highlight of my week, honestly.
That's cool. That sounds fun, actually.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you didn't tell them, hey, I was having a seance or get my fortune told, and I came up with this great sales idea.
Yeah. That'll be the hook later on.
That's right. That's right. All my best ideas come when I'm getting my fortune told.
Okay, wait. What was that about?
Yes. Okay, Levi, from 1 to 10, how deliberate were you with your week?
Yeah, how intentional? How? Yeah. Did it go according to plan? Your plans. Did you have good plans for the week? If you're asking how the week was, simple contrast to the last 2 weeks makes it a 10. That's true because Levi's boys have been home for the past 2 weeks, so it's been very hard for him to put in the work. Yeah, so
I agree. I was actually thinking this week that there's a lot of stuff on my to-do list this year. Big projects I'm trying to knock down. And the weeks that my kids are here are my favorite weeks because I love hanging around my kids. They're also my least productive weeks.
Yep.
It just is because my attention is split because they're here.
Yep.
I don't use the can't word. I don't let my kids use it. I always call them on it. There's no such thing as can't, right? There's hard to, there's eventually maybe I can, but
I struggle with. Yeah.
Yes. But I almost used it right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. My Jeff, my old business partner, used to like make this joke that kids ruin your life, but it's not the life you wanted anymore anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's true, right? Like my life is starkly different having a kid versus not having one. I don't want to go back to the old one, but like having a kid absolutely put the kibosh on
certain things.
Yeah.
For sure.
So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, the coffee shop working is so important for a lot of people. It's because it makes it rough when you have a spot you can go plop down for 2 hours and just plow through some stuff.
I mean, I saw a ad for Common Desk, Common Grounds, one of these kind of co-working spaces, and it was like, we have offices. And I was like, I wonder how much these executive suites are going for, that these places sell. And it was $1,000 a month. I was like, are you getting people in there at $1,000 a month right now?
That's an interesting question, right? Because at the beginning of the pandemic, probably not. But now, can you imagine some people like going crazy, like being at home for 9 months now, 10 months, going, I will pay anything to get out of my house.
See, I think it goes the other way. I think that people go home and they realize, they build their environment out little bit by little bit by little bit, and then they figure it out, and then they go and they do the thing like I did. $1,000? What do I get for $1,000?
But you're thinking like a high performer. There's a lot of people that have not created a good home environment for themselves.
I don't know that I'm thinking like a high performer. I think I'm thinking like a like scared money. Like
maybe that too.
$1,000 a month for that? Yeah. Why? What's the ROI on that? Like I don't think that I would be $1,000 more productive.
It's crazy. I'm completely with you.
Yeah.
I personally know 2 guys that just flip open a laptop in the morning and go to work. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like you what? You sit down in your living room and flip open your laptop and that's your work environment? All right.
What do you do?
What?
What do you do?
I have come on. Who are you talking to? Mr. Environment here. Like I have like all these things that
I know.
In my office so that I can, take myself away from the rest of the household. And, I've got a lamp and speakers, and I've got a candle lit right now, and I've got, the door closed, and we have schedules on the board out there that say this is when you can interrupt Dad.
Okay.
The whole environment.
Okay.
I don't just wake up, grab my coffee, and go sit down out there in the living room.
That's fair, right? You also have like an accountability call most mornings.
Yes, the ones I'd decide to show up for.
The ones I decide to show up for.
Well, I was the last one to screw that one up. I'll take the heat.
So real quick, Michelle, Mama Bill, her dad passed away yesterday, which is a bummer. So,
Man, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. If you watch the show, if you hang out with us in the mornings and you know Michelle, her dad passed away. So yeah, that's a bummer. I'm sorry to hear it. I hope you have time to kind of process and work through that. But yeah, wanted to make sure we kind of talked about it.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks for passing that on.
Of course, man. How was yesterday for you?
Yes, it was good. It was super busy. It's been a busy week. Like I said, we've got some new partnerships we've been working in. One of them kind of a white label style, where we're getting white labeled. And we've got another one where we're white labeling another company, and they're sending us business right now. So it's kind of both ways. And so anyway, so yesterday I had 2 brand new client calls, and one of them was a positioning exercise, which I just love that exercise. It's so much fun. Especially, I just love seeing the light bulbs go on when people go, oh, yeah. So I'm not trying to figure out why I'm better than my competitor. I'm trying to figure out why I'm a good alternative to what they're currently doing. Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. And then all this stuff just comes out of them. Like, you don't even have to hardly, you don't have to talk a whole lot. You can just keep the conversation going. So it's so that was a lot of fun. I got to do that, and we got some really, really fantastic stuff going into the story brand exercise for Monday to tell a really nice story about their client, making them the hero, which is what we do. And so, and then I had a ton of blocking and tackling. I had a ton of stuff just loose ends yesterday. I really was working later than I normally do, just picking stuff off the ground. It felt like stuff was falling out of my pockets. Some days you feel like, oh gosh, gotta pick that back up, gotta pick that back up. That was one of those days yesterday. And today, similar. It's pretty busy. But that's good. That's good. That means we've got clients we're working with and helping people out.
Yes. That's awesome. That's really good.
Yeah.
We had sales practice lab yesterday, which was good. We talked about the practice that we did for yesterday was very purposefully putting ourselves into a spot to where the prospect asks you for something you're not going to do. So that way you get in the habit of saying, hey, I don't think that we can do that. What happens now? Right? Because, we sometimes feel pressure to, acquiesce. Oh yeah, I'll make an exception. Oh yeah, in the moment and stuff. But if we do too much of that, then you're not running like one business. You're running kind of like 5 kind of slightly different businesses, right? If you have 5 slightly different clients, and that can make it really hard to like scale, puts more pressure on you and your team and everything else. So if somebody asks you to do something, or if they have an expectation that you're not going to be able to do, as opposed to talking them out of it, you just say that I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because think about it. Like that's what you do with a friend. Right. So like if Jake comes in and asks me, hey John, I need you to sell $500,000 like this week in Quirk products. Jake, I'm sorry. I don't think I can do that for you.
Yeah.
What happens now? Yeah. Of course. Yes. It's the right thing to do. But what happens is that most salespeople, they want to turn that into, okay, but why 500,000? What happens if I can't? And all of this stuff. And like, hey, it sounds like that's really important to you. If I can't do that, are we still talking?
Yeah.
Like really qualify. Is this something that like is a must have, or is this something that they're asking about because they're asking about it?
Right. Yeah.
Why not? I mean, James, welcome, sir. You've been lurking until I dropped a big number in there. If you have the lead, sir, we can have a conversation about it. Right? I'm expensive, so just so you know.
Yeah, offering is expensive, so
there we go.
You weigh them, right?
So we
white labels that stuff, which I like because that is an option.
White labels what stuff?
Well, like if someone asks you to do something that you don't specifically do, and you go, "That's not something that I think I can do for you."
Sure.
You can't. We do some of that as well, but not everything.
But so I'm talking about okay. So I had this epiphany last night that there's a lot of people who close more business than I do, right? And that's totally fine, right? And good, right? My thing is that you should be qualifying for fit, right? Like I'm never going to run a widget-based business. Like I'm a service guy. Like I don't even like projects. Like I want to get in there and like work with you on a regular basis and everything else. So I'm just not a transactional guy. So these guys who are like selling like a ton more than me are very much transactional people, right? So they're not focused on the relationship. And so then what happens is just like, hey, do you want to buy this? 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 When it's a service-based business, do you want to buy this and do I want to work with you?
Yes.
Like, do you want to buy this and do I want to have a relationship with you? Are we going to like want to talk once a month, once a week and stuff like this? And so like in service-based businesses, you've got to do more to qualify for the relationship, because otherwise, like, does it matter at all if you have a $10,000 month and then all 10,000 of those clients and whatever makeup that is all churn?
To the salesperson, it doesn't.
I mean, that depends upon that depends upon your commission structure, right?
Yeah,
because like the things that I set up is if a closer brings somebody on, right, once they convert like out of their trial into their like full pay trial, if you did a good job, that conversion should be easy. So you get a bonus when it converts, and then you start getting like lifetime revenue for the life of that client, right? And it's not a ton, but I do this with every client that I work with, right? Give the guy like 3 to 4, or the person 3 to 4% every month once they do that, because that is going to make them really adamant about bringing on the right kinds of clients who are going to stay. They're going to set the rock solid expectations about what this is going to do and what it's going to be. You're not going to have people overselling and overpromising and then putting a bunch of pressure on the delivery team that they hate.
Do you feel like that's the norm now? That feels more like an exception in all of
I think it depends upon who you talk to. I know a lot of closers, and I had a guy tell me that 4 to 5% of like the monthly revenue amount was just not enough for him to be interested in doing something else, because he was getting 15 on a monthly retainer product. And I'm like, yeah, man, I wouldn't leave either.
Sure. But I just meant that lifetime money on a deal. I feel like that's a newer concept, like a more of a SaaS model.
Yeah, for sure. It is, but it's so the constant cognitive like dissonance that I have to talk about with people is you tell people to only bring in good deals, right? Bring in good deals, qualify, bring them in, everything else. And then you show up and say, what have you closed for me lately?
Yeah.
Right. And there's a bit of a mix in the signal there. Right. And especially whenever salespeople are like the last people to get paid, right? Chargebacks are a thing, right? Depending upon your company structure. I think I've talked about this on here. I worked at T-Mobile back in the day when all their contracts were only 1 year, right? Only 1 year contracts. And when I was working at T-Mobile, if you canceled in that 13th month after they had been there for the entire year, I still got a chargeback.
Oh, come on.
Swear to God. Right. So I was a rep there, and one of my really good friends is still a rep there. And I remember one day I walked in, it was the beginning of a new month, and I said, hey man, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm just looking for these 13 months. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, oh, I start every month in the hole about 20. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, man, like when you have good months, you're going to have people who like quit. So he was starting in the hole anywhere between 10 and 20 lines. So he didn't have a 35 line quota. He had a 45 line quota or a 50 line quota, And it's like, that makes zero sense, right? They signed the line, they did the whole contract, and you want to charge me back in the 13th month? Like, that's some nonsense. And there are people who do this, right? If they don't save through the trial time, you don't get paid, and that's a thing. So
yeah, well, that seems to make more sense than 13 months.
I mean, sure, but here's the deal: if you really want to like keep people, especially salespeople, around, you need to give them a reason and a way to like not have to start every month at zero, because otherwise you're just going to lose them to the entrepreneurial realm. Because you know what, you start every month at zero over there, and you get to keep a bigger piece of the pie. So why would I work for you when I can go do my own thing over here and keep a bigger part of it and have the same amount of risk?
I'm still spending on the 13 months. That's insane. I can't even believe that
yeah.
They haven't been sued or something like.
I mean,
That's all that is. That's so far down the line that
this was in '06, so it was a long time ago. So yeah, so they don't have 1 year contracts anymore. But like, I just remember being furious. Like I was like, wait, 13 months? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
well, and here's the other part of that is why in the world would that guy stay? Why is your friend like, I can't get a better job? I have to start in a hole every month.
No. So man,
And even if he was playing, it's like, couldn't I go over somewhere else in Slay and keep all my money?
but so comp structures are never really built at like corporate structures to benefit the salesperson, right? It's meant to like be super. I mean, and like at Chase, right? I mean, even at Chase, everything we did had it was called the PVC value, right? And so if you set up an account, it was X number of PVCs. If you got them to do online banking, it was X number of PVCs. And man, every comp structure has got holes in it. Every comp structure has room, for reps to kind of get in there and game it, right? Because when you put people at the will of, hey, you have to do these things to earn, they're going to do the things that make them earn the most.
Well, it makes because remember Chris K used to go in there with strong because those PVCs were really simple to grab and higher than most other products that we could sell, and he just set on credit card conversations.
Yeah.
And he was leading the branch in PVC because of it.
Yeah. Man, yeah, the comp structures are always weird. Whenever I was working over at Chase, man, you had to have a certain number of accounts open. You had to have a certain number and balance of like percentage to the number of accounts that you had in your book.
Just to get paid.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to get paid at all. Like that's not even like maxing out the comp structure. And man, some companies just make it so hard, right? And then other companies build it very purposefully to not benefit the salespeople, and that's a thing, and you're just going to have people leave. So that's okay.
Yep.
You get what you get, kind of deal.
Well, this is why John Small Mountain's going to change sales forever because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
John Small Mountain is tired this week, dude. Tired. Man. So you and I have talked about this exercise that I do mentally. Like, how much would the job have to pay me to like fold it up?
Right.
It was a remarkably low number yesterday. Remarkably low. So
that's true. It's true. I believe I was talking with Kira Day yesterday, who one of my favorite people in the world, and she was like, I really think entrepreneurship is the hero's journey, like internally. It's just this whole, like, you have to go through so much and eat so much garbage and do all these things. And certain days you would take a 25K job over what you have to deal with today. That's what the hero does. Gets knocked down, gets back up, overcomes. It's like, I just feel the best example. Yeah,
you're not wrong. And the 25K was the number yesterday. I was like, for 25K, I probably.
I'd love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then I'd be miserable.
The last time we talked about it, so.
Oh yeah. Like I was at 40 a couple of weeks ago, and that was the new all-time low. But like yesterday, I was like, 25K sounds pretty good right about now.
Could I eat on 25K? Okay, yeah, we could do that. Yeah. Ramen 2 hours a day. Yeah.
So James, if you need a sales guy, right, you want to pay.
How much 500K? So I'm sure he's open to a conversation right now.
I mean, you guys have the top quote of the Donald Miller book. I mean, you guys are just going to be opening the floodgates.
I mean, I'm telling you, we've already got leads coming in from their hirecoach.com. As soon as that floodgate opened, we started to get the phone call, the email.
I have so many questions, and they're all like
snarky.
Yeah, I mean, not intentionally. I mean, but like, I have a snarky viewpoint of this whole thing because I'm sitting squarely on the outside of it.
That's right. I was thinking about that a couple of days ago when you were asking a couple questions, and then I talked to Q, Wednesday night, and he went from the entrepreneur back to working for somebody else. Yeah. He's working for Lewis Howes. Yeah. So I guess maybe that colors your glasses, right? Because you're going to work for Lewis Howes, well then that's okay. I'm not going to look down on you for giving up on entrepreneurship, right? It's weird how we think that way. Yeah. But if you went to work for James Thorne, you're like, I have questions. I thought you were an entrepreneur. You know, so it's like there is the glasses change color depending on.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely a thing. Man, I just had an epiphany, I think. Hold on, I gotta make a note.
Okay. In the meantime, James Ryan Thorne over here said we've gotten 3 leads this week and they're solid. So that's good. That's good news. It's Friday.
I just had a new prospecting method just pop into my head, so I'm excited about that. Huh?
You got to grab those when you can.
I mean, you know, when they come, when you have an idea, you got to capture it. So.
And so is that when you do this, right? So you capture an idea and you feel like it's a good one. Do you take that into Sales Lab and try it out?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Me and this guy Shivam, who has been in Sales Lab for a while, we were talking about this idea. Okay, yeah, I'll talk about this on here. Let's go. So I came home from the Army and got a job waiting tables for the first time because the Army taught me many things. But one of the things that taught me very specifically was that I'm not too good to wait tables, which was my opinion of myself before joining the Army. So after doing much worse things, I was like, waiting tables, not that bad. And my very first manager, his name is Jay Worsham, super awesome guy, like one of the best guys that I've ever worked for. He hires me and I'm struggling, right? Because I'm me. I don't know any of this stuff. So like I'm arguably the worst version of me, right? I'm super rigid from the military. I'm super C, all of this stuff. I've never waited tables before, kind of awkward. And so one day I was just in the weeds constantly, right? If you never waited tables, in the weeds means that like you just have too much going on and you can't like plan or be deliberate, right? It's honestly how most people run their businesses, if I'm being really honest, right? Just in the weeds. So
there.
we had 4 table sections, right, at Don Pablo's, which was this restaurant. And Jay comes up to me and he goes, man, can I make your life a little bit easier? And I was like, yeah, I would please make my life easier. And he goes, right now, this is you. You're here in the kitchen and you come out to a table, you go back to the kitchen. You go out to a table, you go back to a kitchen. Out to a table, back to a kitchen. Out to a table, back to, and I was like, yeah, because those tables have needs. Yeah. So I need to go take care of them. And he goes, what if you just went? And I was like, oh, wow. Like blew my mind. Like shouldn't, but right place, right time, right? Yeah. And this is the thing, when you're in the weeds, you're not looking at anything rationally. Like, and this is happening in business, is happening in sales. I mean, we're not rational the majority of the time. So thinking about that with this guy Shivam, of trying to collect as much information as possible, right? And so Shivam sells insurance, and so one of the things that people ask for is like a certain amount of death benefit. You know, I want $150,000 in coverage, and then because Shivam and I have been working together, okay, what's the budget for that, right? If they tell you, $25 a month, you're not going to get that much coverage for $25 per month. So let's go ahead and ask the question. So that way we don't just go hunk, right? We can go around. Hey, if I can't get it for that, do you think it's more important that we stay at that coverage level and see what we can do? Or is the budget the more important thing?
Right.
Let them pick. Oh yeah, the budget's more important. Okay, so are there some other options? Because I'm more than willing to go ask and go check my vendors and my network and see what we can do for you, because he's a broker. So, but if I come back and it's $50 for X, or it's $150,000 in coverage for Y, are those still conversations worth having, or is this the only shot we have?
Right.
You let them make that decision, so that way when you have to go back and do your due diligence, you put the proposal together, you go shake your trees and you figure out like who you can get, who you can partner with, and everything else. You can come back and you don't have to say, how about this? And they say, I don't really like that. And then you have to go back to the drawing board, right? Yeah. Collect and control the conversation as much as you can by asking that question. Hey, what happens if I can't do that? What happens if we did do that? Right? Well, I'd like to see some of your portfolio and talk to some of your references. After I let you talk to everybody who likes me, who loves me, because that's what's going to happen. What do we do then?
Yeah.
What happens after that?
Right.
Right. And it's just being intentional about how you want to sell and understanding that, like, after you do this X number of times, you have a process. It might be sloppy and unorganized and like not repeatable by anybody else other than you, but you probably have some sort of process. So how can you now save time in the process? How can you make less trips? How do you consolidate your steps? How do you make it tighter so that way you're covering more in front of them and not, oh, you know what? We're out of time. I'm going to shoot you an email with the rest.
No.
You're asking to get stalled. You're asking to exactly, So yeah, so I'll have these little bitty epiphanies, and then I can't wait to hop into like a call and try to use it and stuff. This one was about there's a website called angel.co, which is like a bunch of like angel companies and venture companies and stuff. And there's a job board on there. So there's always companies looking for salespeople on there. So I should be connecting with those people and being like, hey, I can help you, kind of thing. So we'll see.
Yeah, seems like.
Yeah. So
when you were with Iron Egg, and then when I was with agency, we had the same situation, except we always had this joke. There's a meme out there that, what do you want, price, speed, or quality? Pick two out of the three.
Mm-hmm.
Most people aren't willing to pay for speed and quality, but they will.
Absolutely.
Pay. So you have that same conversation up front. Is it more important to you that we get this job done, 4 weeks from now, or is it more important that it's absolutely what you want? Because we can do either at the price tag that you talked about, or we can talk about the price tag again. What's most important. And then same thing, I'm sure, on websites. I know, because the way you guys built websites, you were the speed team, right? You were not the
trying to be
custom quality website. No. So you constantly were having the conversation. And so you take that into monthly. You have to, if you don't set that expectation up front, when you have that monthly conversation, you have very little legs to stand on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're having the conversation for the first time. But you do have to have the conversation monthly, even after you have it in the sales call most times, because people either forget or they get in the weeds.
Yes.
And they're freaking out and they're like, where's this? And you're like, well, I'm confused.
Yeah. I always find it endlessly fascinating, the people who were like, oh, this isn't a priority. This isn't a priority. This isn't a priority. And then they pay you and then it is a priority. And it's like, you were feeling completely opposite of this before you gave me money. And now you've given me money, and now it's the only thing you can think about and focus on, right? And that's weird.
Well, that's what I love about you talking about relational skills all the time, is you're starting the relationship in a way that you can have honest conversations, and it's okay, and you're discovering together. And so when you get to those conversations when you're working together, they don't feel so shocking.
Yeah. No, well, like that's the whole point, right? Because if you're ever in a sales conversation and you're like, oh, what should I be saying here that they're going to see value in? You missed a question earlier up in your qualifying process.
Right.
Yeah. If they're like, well, how much is this going to cost? And you have that thing of like, well, I want to charge this, but I think they're only going to say this. That means you missed a question.
Right. Yeah. I love how you just frame that. Because if you're searching for things to talk about in a sales call, you got to go back. Sorry, answer more questions.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I spend so much time trying to know thyself, right? And feel like I do like an okay job of knowing who I am and how I sell and everything. And then I'll have a conversation with Levi, and the way that he sells and the way that he gets to like feeling comfortable is night and day different than mine. It's endlessly fascinating to me, because he's like, hey man, I started being like kind of adamant about like the small talk on the front of it, and I feel so much better. And like, he's an I, so yeah, he's gonna feel better and more comfortable in a call when it has more small talk on the front end of it. I don't want a bunch of that.
I'll say, but if the person on the other end of the phone call is not an I,
oh yeah, well that's the other thing, right? But like the balance point there is how much of it can you slide towards them to give them what they need, but still follow your process. So that way, when the call is done, you can put it down and say, you know what, I did everything I was supposed to do. And you can move on cleanly, as opposed to, you know what, I should have said this. I should have said that. I should have asked this question. Now, what are we going to do after this? And working ourselves up into a lather because we didn't ask the right questions. And now we got to follow up with an email that might not get read.
Okay. Yeah. Would you say it makes sense then to more sense to start and slide towards the the potential customer on the beginning of the call, or to start in your own comfort zone on the beginning of the call?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think you have to be you at all times, right? So when I'm talking to an I, like I'm a slightly more eyed out version of me, right? With like chat and small talk and emotions and everything, but
Right.
I'm not trying to be an I. And there's a difference in, like, I know that that sounds kind of cliche or whatever, but there's a difference between those two things, right? I'm being a slightly more outgoing version of myself. I'm not trying to be an I. And I think that when you don't put in the time to really know who you are, you're just trying to be like them, and you don't really understand like what that's grounded in. And so you're not going to do a very good job of it. You come across as fake, and then the sales stigma of, oh, salespeople are just liars and they don't care, gets reinforced.
So what do you think about, because the way I when I'm selling, I actually lean more into my D than into my I when I actually care about a sale, because I'm trying to put it across the finish line because I want to do it.
Yeah, because you want to win.
Yeah, I want to win. And so I have found that I have to start and lean out into whatever they are, so that I don't get to that too quickly. Because I can't, like you said, I can't put it off. I am who I am.
Yeah.
So I actually start further away. Like you said, I'm not going to become the C, but I am going to lean into the C to start the call, because I know I'm eventually going to start leaning into the I or the D really quickly if I don't. And I think mirroring helps with that too, right? So if you mirroring them, you can start in their playground and be less of a D.
So, okay. You and I talk about framing a lot, right? And setting expectations and getting agreements and everything. If you think that if you're a C at the beginning of the conversation, what percentage of your conversations do you think you do a good job of like setting the expectation, setting the frame, and getting the agreement?
In general?
Yeah, just in general.
Oh, that's a good question. I think I do it. I think I always set expectations and agreements in phone calls with potential clients on every call, just because it's uncomfortable for me too. So it's very natural to want to get agreement. Doing a good job of it.
That's fair. I mean, how do we qualify? Is it a good agreement or not? Right. And I mean, everybody has a different measure of that. And the thing about like eyes is they're like, oh yeah, we totally covered this.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. Right. You made one statement that wasn't a question, and then you went down like 7 other rabbit holes. Right. Yeah. Like that's not covering something.
So he's going to buy the chocolate factory, right? One of my besties is a sales trainer, and so he very early on stressed the importance of actual agreements and expectations.
Man, and I'd like to meet that guy.
When I was like, yes, give me all that. If it helps, I want it.
There's this guy who I follow, and he's another sales coach, and he talks about this idea that when you're framing, right, and when you're setting expectations and you're getting your agreements, the more you talk about no's, the more you can talk about yeses, right? And what that does is it kind of wraps up like what's going to happen at the end of this thing. But the thing about it is, and in this way that I talk about it, if you play games, a lot, how the game works. If you sit down with someone and they've never played the game before, you got to explain to them how the game works. Otherwise, they're going to do whatever they want, and it's probably not going to be in compliance with the rules of the game, and that's going to be frustrating. If you are the salesperson, you've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of conversations very similar. Why are you not setting the rules for this other person, so that way they can be on the same page with you and you can be working towards a common goal? It's just like a board game.
One of my favorite things to do is talk to people about, hey, would it be okay if we set some agreements up front?
Yeah.
And, oh, yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. That would make this call more enjoyable. And just that alone, I feel like gets you so much credibility to start a call.
Man, I talk about this all the time, but like I have seen and heard and even felt it a couple of times when I hop on a call and I'm talking through it with someone and we're just kind of setting the expectation, and I start talking about the no, right? Because it's always like, Jake, we might realize that this is nothing, that there's not anything here. We're not a good fit for each other, and that's okay. If you start to feel that way, could you let me know? And man, it's so funny because like I've had everything from, yeah, I can do that. right? Which means that they're just like settling in. I've had people laugh and everything. It's a great pattern interrupt, right? Because like people are not expecting it, because most salespeople want to take it away from you. But when you can talk about the no's, I can then talk about the positive outcome and limit this to only those two options. And you're going to be okay with it because you know you have equal access to both.
That's right. That's right. Super powerful.
I mean, it is the closest thing to like a Jedi mind trick that you could possibly actually do in real life, like without being, the amazing Kreskin or something like that.
Yes.
And who wants to shake hands like that all the time? Oh.
Or Game of Thrones, whatever you see, where they do this.
Yes, the clasping of hands, brother.
Brotherhood. Yeah, but side note, because Jackson is getting super into the Star Wars lore and legend, and he's going deep in that rabbit hole, so I'm learning a lot more than I never thought I would, which is fine, because I'm into that nerdy stuff. Yeah. It's not called a Jedi mind trick, technically. It was adopted on a particular something or other, and popular culture picked it up, but it's a mind touch is actually what it is. Because there is
that even better.
Yeah, it's the mind touch.
The mind touch.
Yeah, I read that. I was like, oh yeah, because that's what you're doing. You're just making them more suggestible. It's not a trick. You're just opening up a loop.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Fine. Anyway, that's your useless Star Wars knowledge for today.
Yeah. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, man. What do you have today?
So today, trusty whiteboard. A few things left to finish up for client email wise. Actually trying to build out a template for a certain type of client that we end up writing email funnels for a lot. So you and I talk about this a decent bit offline. I don't know how much online we talk about it. In that emails can be very formulaic in a good way, because you're trying to build a specific set of story arcs or a specific set of like pattern interrupts or agreements or things like that in the email. And so when you can lay that out for a subject matter, you really can kind of knock out 80% of the work start, and then you spend all your time on that 20% instead of having to spend 100%. So I'm actually building out a template for a particular type of client right now this week. So putting some finishing touches on that. And then I've got a couple follow-ups. I've had some people tell me they were good to go on podcast guests, but just scheduling. So I've got to chase some people around a little bit on that.
No, that goes.
Yeah, and you used Acuity or you use whatever tool you want to use. It doesn't matter. Some people you still have to chase.
Yep.
And then let's see. I've got a set of emails to write for Blessed by Networking. I've got a set of emails to write. So we actually do this monthly newsletter to our clients that gives them a tool that we're using as a company, that just kind of like, hey, we're using this and this is how we use it. Just kind of a bonus thing for the month. And kind of almost like James Clear's 1, 2, 3, or like Tim Ferriss's
5 Bullet Friday.
We do something similar-ish, just to continue to provide value outside of the actual work. So adding a couple of those this month, or for the next couple months. And then I've got several calls, and then I've got I still have some asks to do for our giveaway. So I'd set a goal this week for 100 nomination asks to say, hey, would you not mind nominating somebody for our giveaway? And so I've also got some asks to do. So it's a busy Friday.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yep.
So I have this, and then I have a kind of a daily meeting, go over some stuff with Shivam actually. And then the next thing on the calendar is a 1 p.m. with this woman named Ashley, who I met in the Noah Kagan Slack. And she really likes the book. And so we're going to talk about some positioning and some marketing and stuff like that. So.
Oh, yes. And James has just reminded me, right after this call, every Friday morning we do game time with our team.
Okay.
So we have Friday morning game time at 9 a.m.
Okay. What game?
It's different every week. We have a ambassador.
I've given up on watching the newer Star Wars universe stuff with my boys, and I've finally gotten around to watching it.
Maybe you mean I had given up, and now you're
I think so. I think that's true.
We're going backwards. We're not going forwards. We're going backwards to like Legends and Rebels and all that old stuff like that. And actually getting into the comic books that he is. So I'll probably end up in there as well. But it's kind of like Harry Potter. There's a deep stuff.
Yeah.
get to. So once you get in there, it's like, oh, I don't have time for much else.
Yeah, I think the Star Wars world is like probably 50x the Harry Potter world.
Yeah.
As far as like
Deeper.
movies and books. Maybe not like content and gadgets and toys and stuff, but
comic books and books. Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh, okay. He was okay. So he was waiting for his boys to get excited about Star Wars, and then they got no interest, so he gave up.
What you can do now, though, is you can be prepared when they do have the interest, because your kids are still young. Is when they get 11, 12, 13, 14, they might have a more deep interest like you do, and you can be ready to tell them some stories.
That's true.
Did you know about the Dark Sith Lord, though? His name was so and so.
Oh man,
well, we don't have to do 8:45, man. This is our show.
No, I love talking to you. Like, I'll talk to you whenever you'd like. I'm going to show this because I think it'll work. Hold on one second. This is the update to the tool.
Which tool?
Hold on one second. Let me get logged in here. Sorry. This is the facial recognition tool for sales calls.
Your troubleshooting done?
Well, we're working on it. It's coming along. With good lighting, it works better. Hold on one second.
Okay. Yeah, because good lighting is not at all.
It's kind of important for everything, I think, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, is this going to work? Yeah, this is going to work. Okay, so check this out. So I have 2 cameras on my system. So one of the things that we're looking to improve on is this one thing. But let me, don't quit now. So hold on one second. Check this out. Motion tracker, not AI. Okay, so this uses the other camera. So we're getting this other view of me, right? You guys see this?
See the, there we go. There we go.
Okay, so you guys can see me. And so now watch this. So I hit start. Come on. Now it's not going to work. Look at this. There it goes.
There we go. Now it started. Okay, tell me about that time when you were working in Lubbock, Texas.
So this changes.
Okay.
Right.
Tell me what you think about our former president.
No. Oh, hold on. I stopped it. Hold on one second. Okay, so now so the blue box means that it's actually reading. So I can come in here, and if I'm neutral,
happy.
Yeah,
show me mad face. I want to see it. Switch to mad.
The mad doesn't really work on me for some reason. I think it's my glasses, right? Because it does say that it works better for people who don't have glasses. So. But what happens is that you can have a little notification and it just pops up on your screen and it says, please don't be so sad.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So it's just a way to
into it right now.
What's that?
How many emotions are built into it right now?
So we have happy, neutral, surprised, sad, angry, fearful, and disgusted. Okay. Eventually this is going to be a range because I want neutral to be in the middle. So I want happy, and then I want something that's like too much, and then sad and too much down here. So that way we're kind of like operating on like a wave level and not just, oh, you got to be happy all the time. Because if you're having a heavy conversation with a prospect and they're kind of under it, you should be kind of under it with them. Right. And it's when people are feeling vulnerable and open and they're not feeling like that the person they're talking to isn't there with them. That's when there's big like a gap in the rapport, a gap in the trust.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Right, that makes perfect sense. I like that because and you're trying to always. I was talking to somebody about this yesterday about getting people into platforms or processes that they currently use versus create a new one, and everyone knows like the wave pattern, like
yes.
Up, good or up and down. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, so that's the new thing that we're working on. So eventually that will be able to switch cameras, and we're actually playing with a version that'll run through OBS into Zoom, so that way you can have like essentially like a heads-up display on your OBS about like all of this stuff without having to have two windows open and,
Yep, that makes sense. I like it.
Thank you. Yeah. Long way to go, but it's fun. It's fun for now.
That's a good foundation.
Yeah. So working on that. I don't have a lot as far as calls today, which is kind of exciting because I'm a little drained, honestly.
Yeah.
It's kind of all I got.
Okay. Well,
how's your tracking going for the month?
it's good. It's gone way up.
Yeah. Just this week?
Yeah. Well, we were in the low 60s, and we only had like a week's worth of week and a half worth of samples. So, I brought it up into the 80s this week because I had a really strong, deliberate week.
Nice. That's fantastic.
How you doing?
So what I need to go through and actually put, I think that sharing my screen is kind of slowing down my system. Hold on 1 second. So I track my stuff in my journal each day. And so then I go in and I update the tracker later on. So I'm a little bit behind of moving it out of the journal and putting it into the tracker. So, but as of the last update, I'm at 64% for the month, which is not fantastic. So I have much room to improve.
Yeah, cool. That's good. I do. It's funny because I'm so physically attached to things, physical books, whiteboards, different things like that. So I actually have a list on the left side of my whiteboard that has my tracking things. I always check as I go down the line and do them.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Because it's it's a visual reminder too. It's not stuck inside a spreadsheet somewhere. That's actually the biggest challenge I have, and why I have so many whiteboards.
Why? Because you forget to use them?
No, because if it gets hidden in a spreadsheet somewhere, that's fair. Use my day, but as long as it's out in front of me, it reminds me, and I go check it off.
Well, there's the nugget for everybody, right? If you're having a hard time like doing things consistently, like consistent behaviors, consistent activities, hitting your KPIs, even as much as like losing weight, right? If you're constantly like putting the goals in front of you and putting yourself into spots where you have to look at them all the time, you're going to do such a better job of like hitting the activities that get you to the goals. Like my coach, he'll do this thing about once a year, and he makes you write your 30-day goals, and he makes you carry them around in your pocket. And if you don't have them, woe onto you, kind of deal. And so in the group of people who I work with my coach with, I'm like, let's put some money on the line. And they're like, whoa, man, no, I'm not gonna put any money. It's like, all you have to do is carry it around.
Yeah.
That's it. Should you not have, it's crazy, right? Because complacency slips in. It's the mind killer. It's not fear. Fear is not the mind killer. It is complacency.
Yeah, well, it's not the exception. We all always slide into it.
Everybody slides into it for sure. Yeah.
Yep. It reminds me of any given Sunday, or makes him carry the football around. Has to.
Yeah.
Carry it around. Don't lose it. If you lose it.
There's that whole thing about like you write your goals on like sticky notes, and you put the sticky notes on the mirrors, and you put them on your monitor and stuff like that. Like that stuff works, right? Yeah. You might feel like cheesy and like you can be like, I don't need that. Okay. How good were you at accomplishing the last goal that you set for yourself?
Do you want to be cool, or do you want to be effective?
Yeah, that's fair too. Yeah.
If you nail effective, you can work on cool later.
Yep. Oh, I like that. I'm still working on effective.
That's the shirt,
right? Chris's shirt.
Nail effective and work on cool later.
Yes, I like that. Cool, man. So I don't have anything else, so we should probably just end a little bit early. Well, what are you doing this weekend?
Not a lot. I don't have anything planned. I mean, I'm sure I'll hike because I do that at least every other day.
Yeah.
So I'll hike, and I'm moving apartment complexes, so I'll probably be hiking. I'm just going right next door. It's just bigger, nicer, newer, bigger gym, jacuzzi available, like stuff like that.
So is it the same complex?
No, it's the complex right next door to my complex.
Oh, interesting.
I'm moving next door, basically.
So do you hire movers? Because it doesn't look like you're packed.
No. Well, and I mean, I'm really kind of a minimalist, to be honest. I don't have a lot of stuff. Like, I have a lot of shoes. That's what I have.
I don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I don't have a lot. So no, it can take me. I'm gonna do what my mom or my dad, I guess, maybe gave me this term. It's like a shuffle move where you put stuff into boxes and you don't necessarily close the boxes, and you put all the boxes in your car and you just drive next door and unload the boxes versus tape it up, put it in the truck,
okay.
truck down, hire move. So yes, typically I would hire movers. The last 2 times I've moved in my life, I hired movers because I was a mover in my 20s, and so
Yeah.
but I've actually got James and Chris are coming over next weekend to help me just move like the 5 big pieces of furniture I wouldn't be able to move by myself. So they're going to come up, and that's how much I like you. I didn't ask you to do that.
I was about to say I would have told you no. Like I love you, but it's like no. I mean, sorry. Like yeah.
I know you, so
man, I love you to death, but like no, I don't want to help you move like at all.
James' philosophy on that, like, how much would that cost? Can I pay for that?
Yes, that's exactly what I went to. It's like Jake, I'm happy to get on TaskRabbit, find someone who would do this for you for like $20, right? Or let me just like ask inside my neighborhood page and see if like some like aspiring young kid wants to make some money over the weekend, and I'll send him up there. Right. You don't need or want me up there, right? It's always refreshing to have a friend move without asking me for help. Yeah. Yes. That's how I know we're really good friends, Jake, because you didn't ask me.
Right.
And you're not even mad about the fact that you knew that I was going to tell you no.
Yeah. We were going to enjoy the time together, being eyes together. That's who I am. Yeah. That made me that makes me so happy. That makes me happier than last Sunday when we were playing disc golf and I got quiet for a second and Levi was like, yeah, we're totally at the stage to where we can just be quiet around each other. That's right. Yes, says the super eye.
The super eye. Yeah, man, yep. That was so funny.
That was funny. Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, we're gonna have to move, and I'm gonna have to pay for movers because I don't know where we're moving to or any of that stuff. But it's probably not going to be able to be a shuffle move. We have a few too many books for that. So
yes, I love it. I love having much stuff. It's great for me at this stage of my life.
Oh man. Okay, so moving this weekend or like starting the moving process
next weekend. So I'm just going to start packing up some stuff this weekend that I won't need. Pretty much pack up everything that I'm not going to use. Brush my teeth and put my clothes on, and one pan to cook something. And
okay, so we're going to be moving next weekend. So that means I need 7 shirts, 7 pairs of pants, 37 shoes.
Yes.
18 books.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm.
37 pads of paper.
All the whiteboards stay up. I'm not taking this down yet.
Yeah, the whiteboard is the last thing to move, and there's like a little checkbox, and it's like unhook and take whiteboard, and like you're standing there, and it's like, do I take this off the wall first and then check the box, or is that like non-compliance?
Right. Exactly.
That's what I do. Do I? Yeah, and then my head would explode. Mm-hmm. These are not clear instructions. I don't know what to do.
Mm-mm. Exactly. I'm stuck.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I need oil and clear instructions. Awesome. So, man, thanks for the help today. I'm in a weird like headspace, so you kind of brug me out of it, and I appreciate it a lot, Bill. Thank you to Levi for hanging out with us. Thank you to James for hanging out with us, and thank you to Mike Tao, who is finishing his week at an 8, leaning in that direction. Right.
Let's make it a full 8. Finish it.
Yeah. What can you do today to make sure that the week is an 8? That's a good question. That's a great question. I like that. Hold on. I would have had to evoke the 1-year rule. Sorry, Jake. We haven't known each other quite long enough.
Well, that for me. When we were talking about what we were talking about, I was like, you need at least a 10-year coin to get a conversation. So it's that same rule, family. We need a book for this.
Yeah, Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. We'll see you guys next week. And do you need anything today, Bill?
I don't think so.
Awesome. All right.